All right, I think we're live on YouTube. I think it's working. Let's see if it's working. All right. Yes, okay. Thank you guys so much for your patience with my technical difficulties this afternoon. Hope everybody's having a great Friday afternoon out there. Welcome to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. Again, I do apologize for the long delay and the technical difficulties, but let's dive right into the weather forecast as we know it here. Again, welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. If you are new to the channel, before we get into the forecast, subscribe to the channel down below. We do daily weather forecast updates here with videos at 7 a.m. and sometimes I even do afternoon videos and even live streams like this. So make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, press that notification bell and turn it on so you are notified for my videos, my live streams, and stuff like that. Also, very important, press the like button down below on this live stream and my videos. It really helps to push this information out to more and more people. I do appreciate it. We are actually quickly approaching 72,000 subscribers on this channel. So really, I appreciate each and every one of you. It really is a big help and you guys really support me. So I appreciate it. Now let's get into the forecast here. Here is the temperature anomalies as we go through tonight. And you can see across the eastern 2/3 of the country, we are still in below normal territory here, especially up here into the upper Midwest. That's where the core of that cold air will be. And it's enhanced by that snowpack that we have been seeing laying on the ground for quite some time. Looking out west, our friends out here in the West Coast or the Intermountain West, we are seeing some above normal temperature departures here as we go into tonight. So a little milder Pacific air further off to the west. Going into the weekend time frame, Saturday the 20th and Sunday the 21st, notice across the eastern 2/3, we are still below normal and still above normal across the west. So we're going to hang on to that colder Arctic air as we go into the weekend. So another cold weekend ahead if you live east of the Rockies especially. Let's look at our high temperatures achieved this afternoon, and you can see we're above zero in most instances across the north central United States. We are seeing some below zero temperatures for afternoon highs up here into southern Canada. Our friends up here in Canada seeing that Arctic air this afternoon, but that freezing line pushing further to the south across portions of North Texas, southern Arkansas, the Dixie Valley region, and through portions of the western Carolinas. And looking at our wind chill values this afternoon, we're still below zero. So a little bit of a breeze out there is creating those 5 to 15 degrees below zero wind chills across especially the upper Midwest and into the northern high plains, even colder up to the north from there into southern Canada. As we wake up on your Saturday morning, we're going to be seeing some chilly air. This is the core of the second push of cold air. Remember, the first push was earlier on in the week. Then we had a reprieve, and now this is our second push of cold air. Here's the core of it. We have temperatures dropping to around 10 to 15 degrees below zero for your Saturday morning, centered on Iowa here. So definitely going to be very chilly to start your morning. And notice the freezing line all the way south here into the Houston region. We're waking up at 31, 22 degrees in Dallas, 23 in Shreveport, 21 over here into Jackson, Mississippi, and 18 waking up on your Saturday morning in Atlanta. So it's going to be very chilly out there, factoring in the winds, and those wind chills are going to be bitterly cold, if not dangerously cold up here across the northern United States. We're 20 to 30 degrees below zero wind chills waking up Saturday morning around 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And notice those below zero wind chills actually extend further south into Oklahoma there, into northern Arkansas, and even Tennessee. We have a little bit of snowpack on the ground there. That will enhance. Afternoon wind chills will be improving, but we're still seeing those single digits to possibly 10, 12 degrees below zero up here, especially into the Dakotas, eastern Nebraska, getting into Minnesota there, Iowa, into portions of Wisconsin and northern Illinois, and also our friends over here in the Northeast, especially interior northeastern areas areas. We'll be seeing some of those below zero wind chills on your Saturday afternoon. Sunday morning, we start off cold on either side of zero, but we improve greatly as we go into the afternoon, but not before we see wind chills starting again 15, 20, 25 degrees below zero across the upper Midwest, again enhanced by that snowpack. But by the afternoon, by Sunday, we're out of the deep freeze, but we're still cold, okay? So we're still into the middle and upper teens, lower 20s up here into the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast. But notice the freezing line starting to push a little bit further to the north as we go into your Sunday afternoon, and the wind chills will greatly improve as a result. You can see not many of these wind chills below zero, a spot or two. Other than that, most of us should be above zero with our wind chills by our Sunday afternoon time frame. Then as we go into early next week, this is Monday the 22nd through that Tuesday the 23rd time frame especially, we see a rapid changing weather pattern as we go into that time frame with warming temperatures. We're going to be seeing more southwesterly and southerly flow aloft just above our heads in the atmosphere. And that will actually surge that freezing line further to the north as we go, especially deeper in towards next week. Let's look at our current weather conditions across the country as we see it this afternoon. And you can see we are seeing lingering snow showers across portions of the Delmarva region and up into New Jersey, southeastern PA here in toward the Philadelphia region, hanging on to some snow flurries, snow showers this afternoon. Whereas we also see some lake effect snow, significant banding setting up there into southwestern lower Michigan, northwestern Indiana, and also into some areas into the UP of Michigan. High pressure and firm control in the middle of the country. That's that cold high pressure that will be controlling our cold air as we go through the weekend. And we're seeing a weather system across the West Coast bringing some moisture into California and portions of Oregon as we go through the next 24 to 48 hours. So pretty eventful here, at least over the next couple of days. Walking you through that tonight, there is that lake effect snow band really setting up there across portions of southwestern lower Michigan and northern portions of Indiana. Another few inches of snowfall can be expected. That system, though, that we saw yesterday is finally off the East Coast, so we'll start to dry out across the Northeast and that I-95 corridor. Places that we're seeing snow will dry out tonight. Then here comes that weather system out west. We have the rainfall out here into southwestern Oregon, into the Sacramento Valley there in coastal California, bringing some rainfall there, even some snow showers across the Sierras as we go into tonight. Going into Saturday, mostly dry across the eastern two-thirds of the country. We do have some of those lake effect snow bands that will be persisting, but most of us will be seeing dry skies but cold air as we go into Saturday. But looking out west again, we see more of that moisture moving in from the eastern and northeast Pacific. That will be moving into Oregon, into portions of California and Nevada by then. And we could be seeing some rain showers on and off from Fresno up through Sacramento, possibly as far south as Los Angeles there and San Diego. Seeing some showers as we go into Saturday. Saturday night, we have most of our moisture with this system starting to push in. So we're going to be seeing a lot more rain there across northern, central California. We're going to be seeing a wintry mix up here into the higher elevations of the Pacific Northwest for your Saturday afternoon and night time frame. Coastal regions, though, like Seattle, down toward the Medford region, down towards Portland, likely seeing all liquid precipitation. Even as we go into Saturday night, as we cool off, we're still going to be warm enough to see that rainfall out there as we go into that time frame. And then as we go into Sunday, that moisture eventually continues to push east as we go in towards the Four Corners region there and across the Intermountain West on Sunday. Let's look at those precipitation amounts. So here's your total accumulated precipitation with inches now through Sunday. So this takes us through the weekend. Notice the lake effect snows. This will mostly be frozen precipitation up here. And we do have a lot heavier precipitation across the West Coast, especially northern and central California here. Let's zoom it in and show you how much we can be expecting. So this is California. You can see the northern areas up here could be seeing widespread 1 to 3, even 4 inches worth of rain on the way. Some of this will be in the form of snow across the Sierras as you go up in elevation, but some rainfall can be expected even as far south here as Los Angeles and San Diego, whether it's a half inch or inch, decent and beneficial rains there for portions of Southern California as well. but this will come at a cost for some flash flooding potential this weekend into early next week. We do have a marginal to slight risk for flash flooding up here, especially in towards northwest California. The highest probabilities near the coast there. So we'll be watching that up there north and west of Sacramento. That will be Saturday into Sunday. That will start to move itself down a little further south as we have more of that rain overspreading Los Angeles and central and southern California. We could see some of those marginal flash flood probabilities start to propagate their way closer toward the city there in Los Angeles. Other than that, we're going to be watching you in the Sierras with that snow, Fresno, and then up towards Sacramento with that flash flooding risk Sunday the 21st into the Monday the 22nd time frame. Looking at our frozen precipitation, our snowfall in inches out there now through the weekend. This takes us through Sunday, January 21st. That lake effect snow is going to be in full force there across the Great Lakes. We're going to be seeing additional snow across the Appalachians there, from southwestern Pennsylvania in towards eastern West Virginia, and even as far south there as western Virginia, getting into western North Carolina here, at least a couple inches of snow. Let's start across the Pacific Northwest. Notice we don't see a lot of snowfall up here. It's going to be mostly dry, and the precipitation will be few and far between, but we do see some areas in the ski resorts up here getting at least a few inches worth of snow at times through the weekend. A little heavier snow down here into the Sierras, so if you go up in elevation there, definitely like into the Truckee region into California, we could be seeing up to over 2 feet of snow in some of the highest of elevations there. So definitely, if you were going up in elevation, make sure to have those snow tires on and those chains on your tires to help out with the heavy snow across those regions. Could be seeing some snow in the higher elevations north and west of Las Vegas, in and around the Salt Lake City area, and into western Colorado there, west of Denver. Could be seeing a few inches of snow. Really not that big of a deal. Nothing we can't handle out there. Then across the western lakes here, up to the UP of Michigan, we are seeing a few inches worth of snow over the next 24, 48 hours or so. Definitely seeing a nice 6 inches or so near the lake there, near Lake Superior there in the northern portions of the UP. Western parts of Michigan, this is lower Michigan now, and you can see the eastern side of the coastline of Lake Michigan. We could be talking about 4 to 8 inches additional accumulation. Some of that will move down into southwestern lower Michigan and far northern Indiana there, the South Bend region in particular. We could be seeing another 6 inches worth of snow there. Further east, the eastern lakes and into the northeast now, isolated areas here of snow, mainly driven by lake effects. So you can see Erie, Pennsylvania, another 6 inches worth of snow there. In the Buffalo region, a couple more inches, and up toward Watertown in western New York, we could be seeing a couple more inches there of snow. And as the snow is winding down across portions of New Jersey, southeastern Pennsylvania there into Delaware and Maryland, we could be seeing another half an inch or so as that moves out through the nighttime tonight and into your morning hours tomorrow. Further south in towards West Virginia, the Appalachians are going to be in full force. We got the cold air in place, obviously with that Arctic air. We have the moisture, so more snow could be squeezed out here for eastern West Virginia and those higher elevations, western Maryland and southwestern Pennsylvania. Some areas could be seeing over 8 inches worth of snow through your Sunday time frame. Some of that snow will travel southbound into portions there of western Virginia and western portions of North Carolina. Just a couple of inches worth of snow here. But other than that, really not that big of a deal. Nothing we can't handle. So looking at the winter storm severity index, this is just between now, Saturday, and going through Sunday night time frame on the 21st. And you can see most of us will just have those minor travel disruptions. So as long as you drive slow on the roads, we should be A-okay across the Great Lakes, the Northeast, and the Mid-Atlantic. Same thing here across the northern high plains. We got that's going to have a lot of moisture with it. It's going to be coming from the western Gulf of Mexico. We're going to have a lot of moisture here moving off of the Gulf. The Gulf waters are very warm for this time of year still, and we're seeing the rainfall moving up into places like San Antonio, Tyler, Texas, Waco, and the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex as we go into Sunday night. Notice the pinks on the map here across far north Texas, near and north of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, up toward Denton, up toward the Red River, and even in towards Oklahoma City, Tulsa, the Ardmore region, and maybe even Fort Smith, Arkansas. That is some frozen precipitation. That could be in the form of sleet, freezing rain, or even some snow showers as we go into Sunday night. And a light glaze of ice could be possible possible with this before we change over to all rain as we go sometime during the day on Monday. I think the Monday morning commute could be a little rough down here depending on how cold our temperatures will be. But notice the freezing line lifts further north. So across downstate Illinois, getting into portions of Missouri and far northern Arkansas, we'll be introducing those frozen precipitation chances, sleet, snow, freezing rain as we go into your Monday morning commute. And then as we go into Monday night, I am concerned about this part of the storm for a lot of different reasons. For travel, for instance, the Chicago Metroplex up there toward Milwaukee, Madison, Peoria, even Springfield, Illinois, the Davenport Quad Cities, Dubuque, Iowa. A lot of these bigger areas, metro areas up into the Midwest, could be impacted for your evening commute on Monday night by this frozen precipitation. This could be in the form of sleet, freezing rain, and snow, and even some rain mixing in at times as well. So a lot of a messy, icy commute as we go potentially for Monday evening. That will change over to rain, possibly as far north as Michigan there and into the Ohio Valley. So everywhere south of the lakes as we go into Tuesday during the day, that will likely be in the form of all rain as our temperatures will finally warm above 32 degrees. Notice the snow change over here across portions of northeast Iowa, southeastern Minnesota through Wisconsin there, especially central Wisconsin toward the Green Bay region, up into the upper lakes and into southeastern Canada. We have to watch out on Tuesday, though, for an icy mix with some snow chances across New York State, especially upstate New York. We'll have to keep an eye on that for Tuesday. Going into Wednesday, still watching interior New England and southeastern Canada for an icy mix and a change over to snow. A lot of the frozen precipitation will likely be across the border into southeastern Canada, and then most of this will be rain, especially the I-95 corridor. We got our one shot of snow yesterday, but unfortunately this next system is going to be too warm, so we're going to see more rain as we go into Wednesday. Thursday, we have more rain, another round across the deep south and the southeast, and we just keep on going with the rain across the southeastern and southern U.S. as we go into Friday, a week from today on the 26th of January. Let's look at the drought monitor. This is the U.S. drought monitor that was released yesterday on Thursday, January 18th. And notice the significant drought that does persist across the middle of the country here, especially in a couple of areas, the Midwest, getting into the Four Corners region, and especially down here with the worst of it across Louisiana, southeastern Arkansas, Mississippi, into western and middle Tennessee, and even parts of Alabama here. And that's the very area where we need the rain, and thankfully we're going to be seeing it. Before we talk rain chances, we do have frozen precipitation here. This is model number 1 with ice accumulation in inches. This is between Monday, January 22nd and Wednesday, January 24th. So essentially early to middle portion of next week. Notice the southern lakes through the Midwest and parts of the western Ohio Valley here, down through portions of the Mid-South and into the southern plains. This could be as far south as central Texas even with this as well initially. We could be seeing some ice accretion, whether or not it's 1/10 of an inch of ice or 1/2 inch of ice. We don't exactly know how much ice will occur in any of these one areas, but we do know the placement of this. It looks like the placement is going to be from the southern Great Lakes through the western Ohio Valley, again through the Illinois Valley into the Midwest there, through portions of downstate Missouri, northwest Arkansas, down through Oklahoma and north, and maybe even as far south as central Texas. And looking at model number 2, that's why we have high confidence in the placement right now of this, because model number 2 is essentially the same, although the difference here, it doesn't have the ice as far north into the southern lakes, and it doesn't have it as far south either. But in between, those areas are pretty similar from the western Ohio Valley, the Illinois Valley, downstate Missouri, northwest Arkansas there, and into Oklahoma. So we're going to keep an eye on that. We're not going to be putting out any ice accumulation amounts right now. Don't pay attention to the amounts on these two weather models. Pay attention to the placement and those impacts as we go in towards next week. Now, this is a little bit higher confidence in the rainfall accumulation. We could be talking some significant rainfall with this system. It's going to have a lot of moisture with it out of the Gulf of Mexico and it's going to be some rich moisture for sure. Coastal Texas, much of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama seeing a lot of rainfall. And that is just what the doctor ordered because we have significant drought across this region. And this takes you through next Friday night on the 26th of January. Let's zoom in and show you some of those potential rainfall amounts. Now, this is an average, okay? So this could be higher or this could be lower or this could be exactly how it pans out. So these are an average numbers as we go through the next week. Yeah, the Houston Metroplex could be talking 7 to 10 inches worth of rain between now and next Friday night. That same thing is true across much of Louisiana here into the Alexandria region, Baton Rouge, and Lake Charles there. And then that extends further to the east. We could be talking 5-6 inches over into New Orleans and getting into Jackson, Mississippi, a couple inches of rain there. That could be adding up between 3 and 5 inches there between next Friday night here and today. And then looking across the southeast, you can see Mississippi, Alabama, northwestern Florida there, the Atlanta region even, up toward Chattanooga in Tennessee, South Carolina, especially western South Carolina, getting in on some heavier rains there across the deep south. Widespread 3 to 6 inches here is a very good bet as we go through your next Friday night time frame. Lifting this further north, the rainfall amounts drop off, but still appreciable across portions of Tennessee here. Nashville, Knoxville, back toward Jackson, Tennessee, easily 2 to 3 inches of rain. Lifting that up into Kentucky, the Lexington region there, in towards the Paducah region, definitely seeing around an inch and a half of rain. Evansville, Indiana, around an inch. Cincinnati, around an inch of rain. And even up here into West Virginia and portions of the Carolinas and Western Virginia toward the Roanoke region, we could be talking around an inch of rain between now and next Friday night. So definitely a lot of rain, and across the deep south, almost too much, okay? So we need rainfall, but we don't need it in all this rain in a week, okay? So looking at the flash flood probability from Monday into Tuesday, there is a marginal to slight risk for flash flooding that's centered across eastern and southeastern Texas, okay? So from around Corpus Christi up through Waco, Tyler, Texas, and the Houston, Beaumont area. And then that lifts eastward in towards Shreveport, in towards Baton Rouge, and Lake Charles with that slight risk across the south and the east during that period. We're also going to be quieting our weather pattern down across the middle of the country. So after we get our super soaker as we go into next week with all this heavy rain and the ice potential, then I think we start to see more dry weather across the middle of the country and those precipitation chances more across the coastal areas. So the west coast, the southern areas here in toward portions of South Texas, the Rio Grande Valley, and then just around the eastern coast areas there, especially to the Carolinas and Virginia as we round out the month there of January. Again, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Much like I just provided to you, I do these detailed weather updates for you and to benefit you only on this channel. I do appreciate all the support. If you can kindly subscribe to the channel down below, I really would appreciate it. Also, like the live stream and my videos also. It does really help to press this information out to more and more people. It also does help to share my videos and live streams on other social media platforms if you so choose. It really just is a big help. So I appreciate everybody's support. And again, I do apologize for the delay in today's live stream. I did not think I was going to have technical difficulties, but thank you guys again. So if you guys have any questions, regarding what we went over, whether it's the storm next week, the temperatures, anything like that, let me know in the live stream chat. I'll try to get to as many questions as possible over the next several minutes here. If no questions are asked, then I will wrap up the live stream here, but I appreciate it. So thank you guys for joining again. So let's see if we have any questions down here real quick. And I'm going to end the poll. The poll question was today, what's your favorite precipitation type? If you haven't voted, I'll give it another couple of minutes. So vote on your favorite precipitation type. It could be rain, snow, sleet, freezing rain, or hail. So I'll give you a few more minutes to vote on that, and we'll see who likes more of the precipitation types, which one's the most common. But thank you guys so much for joining. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, the south could see some flooding here, and let's go back to the rainfall amounts here, and you can see just during that week period between now and next Friday night, we could be seeing some pretty heavy rain. Here's the rainfall amounts. And you can see on the bottom of your screen, those are the amounts there. And you can just look at the placement too. A lot of these rainfall amounts could be heaviest near the coast areas. Okay, so we're talking southeast Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and northwest Florida. That's going to likely be the hardest hit areas with our rainfall and our moisture in general, and then the west coast there. Look at that, across portions of western Washington, down through western Oregon, and coastal California there, seeing some pretty heavy rain too through next week. Thank you, Sandy. Great coverage. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. Here, I'm going to take my laptop off so I can put it up closer to me so I can actually see the comments here. So I appreciate everybody's patience today. I just wanted to go live to talk about what we're seeing over the next 7 to 10 days. And guys, keep you updated on what to expect. A lot of moving parts here. We got freezing rain potential. We got a lot of cold coming in and then warm air. We just got a lot of stuff happening. So you guys can keep up to date on that with my forecast. I try to keep it as organized as possible. April Brooks, I picked snow as my favorite precipitation. There you go. Yeah, I know a lot of people like snow, and there hasn't been a lot of snow this year. And let's go back to look at that here real quick. Let me see where the snowfall. Over the next 48 hours or so, here's the areas that are going to be seeing snow through Sunday. So not very many areas in the United States seeing that much snow through Sunday. You can see across the Northeast there. Parts of the I-95 corridor, but that's moving out as we go here into tonight. Most of that's going to be lake effect snow driven as we go in toward the weekend. And then out west, we have some moisture, but even that isn't that significant. We've seen heavier snows out into the Rockies before this season. Most of that's actually going to be in the Sierras. So we're not talking about March right now. It's only January, so let's take it 1 month at a time. All right. All right, let's see here. Anybody have any questions regarding the weather? So I'm looking for questions here. If anybody has any questions, then jot your questions down in the live stream chat. I'll be happy to answer as many questions as possible in the next few minutes. Make sure to like the live stream, subscribe, appreciate it. Howard says, do you think we will go into second week of February much above normal? I've been talking about this for the last couple of days, and I don't know if you joined my live stream yesterday or not, or, watch my videos, but February, early to mid-February is very variable right now. There's still the potential for a sudden stratospheric warming event, which essentially, as the stratosphere warms up, that cold air in the stratosphere moves down into where we live in the troposphere. It takes 2 to 4 weeks to actually reach us here into North America and especially the U.S., and if that, say, did occur today, we wouldn't see that cold air until the second week of February, all right? If that occurred at the end of January, we wouldn't see that till the middle to late portion of February. So it's all driven by potentially that. And if we don't have that, then you're likely going to see a scenario where we have, like, say, warmer air to the north. So let's go to the last slide that I showed you. You can see as we enter into the first couple of days of February, notice the western U.S. and the northern U.S. is much above average. That's the area the Climate Prediction Center does forecast that. And basically, it's an El Nino pattern, okay? So the El Nino pattern does persist into early February, and if we don't see that cold air from the stratospheric warming event, the sudden stratospheric warming event, then that means we're going to see a lot more milder air, much like we saw in December. And that means much less chances of snow across and frozen precipitation across the northern U.S. and much of the U.S. as we go into early February at least. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep you covered here on this channel for sure, but great question. All right, yes, you guys are throwing some town names out here. Just one moment here. I'm seeing New Mexico in there. All right, so let's look here at New Mexico real quick. Yeah, so you're north of Santa Fe. Yeah, we're seeing above normal temperatures as we end the month, and really dry too. We're not seeing really any precipitation there across the that region. Let's look here over the next. Let's just go through the next couple of days across that region. You can see very dry down in New Mexico. High pressure in control as we go into tonight. Going into Saturday, the same thing, not much precipitation. There could be some precipitation entering into northern and northwestern New Mexico later Saturday night or early Sunday morning. This could be in the form of some sprinkles or some flurries, not really that big of a deal. Then as we go into Sunday, Sunday would be the best chance of precipitation there across the portions there of the Albuquerque, Santa Fe area and northern New Mexico in general. But other than that, we're really just not seeing a lot of precipitation heading in towards the weekend time frame for that area, for northern New Mexico. Oh, yeah, you've seen a lot of snow in Mansfield, Ohio? Okay. Yeah, I know a lot of areas. I saw some pictures earlier today where they saw a lot of snow across the Ohio Valley, and I was surprised of how much some people got more snow than was forecast. So, sometimes that happens, but yeah, definitely a nice sight to see, especially you folks in the Ohio Valley where you haven't seen much snow in a while. It's nice to see some snow out there. You like December? You like the warmer weather? I live just east of Springfield, Missouri. Yeah, there could be an ice storm next week. Let's look at this. I don't think the pattern is conducive, though. So let's go to the slide first, and then we'll talk about it. So as we go, here's model 1, and this model I probably favor over model number 2 because look at these amounts. It's kind of a little ridiculous with how much ice accumulation it has. I don't think it's going to quite be that significant. This is probably more realistic. This is the NAM model that was at 18Z. Will it happen exactly like this? Probably not still, but it gives you a general idea of the placement too, of where this could occur. And so what I was just saying is that I don't think this system is reminiscent of something that is going to produce a significant crippling ice storm. I just don't see it. But there could be enough ice to cause treacherous travel as we go into early next week from the southern lakes here and into the Midwestern regions there through Illinois, Indiana, and southern lower Michigan, through Missouri, northwestern Arkansas, Oklahoma, and North Texas, maybe, like we're talking about, maybe as far south there as central Texas toward the San Antonio region. I just don't think the pattern is conducive for a crippling ice storm for a couple of reasons, because that freezing line is going to be shifting north very quickly. So from North Texas, we could have a couple hours, maybe up to 2 hours worth of freezing rain and sleet on your Sunday and Monday morning time frame. And then that will shift north, okay, very quickly. So that will change over to rain, and we'll see the ice threat actually begin to diminish across that region. And we'll introduce the ice threat across northwestern Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Illinois as we go deeper into the day on Monday early next week. But even that, the freezing line's still going to be shifting pretty quickly to the north. So for a crippling ice storm, you want that freezing line to shift further south and kind of stay south for a while for that ice accretion to start to build up as well. And also another thing that I don't think it's going to be a crippling ice storm is because if you think about it, you have very light precipitation rates that usually, like freezing drizzle or very light freezing rain in general, that is a higher ice accretion, okay? So you have higher ice accretion levels with lighter precipitation than you do heavier precipitation because it runs off. And I think we're going to have such a strong push of moisture from the Gulf of Mexico that a lot of our precipitation here across the middle of the country is going to be coming down at a fairly quick clip as we go into next week. And what I mean by that, our rainfall rates could be over 1 inch per hour down here across the deep south. That could spread north into the Midwest. And if you have really heavy freezing rain, sure, you could have some icing, but I think for the most part, it's going to run off and it's actually not going to accrete as much as what, say, freezing drizzle or light freezing rain would do. So that's another reason why this doesn't appear to be a crippling ice storm for anybody in the country. So if anybody out there is saying, well, this is going to be a crippling ice storm, they couldn't be farther from the truth. I really just don't think this is a pattern conducive to a crippling ice storm. Sure, we could see a couple tenths of an inch of ice, maybe a quarter inch of ice here or there, but I really just don't think this storm system is actually going to produce a major ice storm across this region. I think the bigger story from this storm, and I'll go back to the slide, is really actually going to be this. It's going to be heavy rain and flooding. I think that's going to be the biggest issue besides a little bit of that icing to the north with this system. So that's what we're seeing as we go in towards next week. So that's the big player next week. That's this next storm, and that's what I think about it right now. So I gave you a little bit in depth of what I'm thinking currently with the storm, and I hope you guys take a little bit more information in about that, and kind of be careful what you see out there. If people are saying this is going to be a crippling ice storm, I don't quite think a crippling ice storm qualifies with a tenth or 2/10 of an inch of ice, or even a quarter inch of ice. I don't really consider that crippling. I think more of a crippling ice storm would be ice accumulations over a half an inch up to like 3/4 of an inch or a solid inch of ice. So just be careful what you see out there. If you see headlines saying crippling ice storm, I just don't buy into that right now. We'll have to keep an eye on it, and we will right here on this channel as we go into next week. April says, it's kind of weird that we go from an El Nino to potentially being in a neutral phase or a La Nina phase within a year during the summer of this year, according to the CAN-SIPS model. Yeah, the climate models are trending towards neutral conditions by the spring and potentially into a La Nina by next fall, but that's still far off right now. And the CAN-SIPS model does, and the CFS as well, does very well in depicting long-range weather patterns. Are they perfect? Absolutely not. I'll be the first one to admit that those climate models are not perfect by any means, but they show you the general big picture of what to expect. And they usually do a decent job, especially the CAN-SIPS model, of giving you an idea of things that maybe a few months ahead of time on what to look for. But is it perfect? No. So we'll continue to watch it for sure. Yeah, accretion. Yeah, I really think that, honestly, if you have really heavy frozen precipitation, really heavy freezing rain, we're just not going to see a lot of ice accretion because of the runoff. I just don't think we're going to have such a big moisture surge in the middle of the country. A lot of this precipitation, even the freezing rain per se, is going to probably be more like moderate to heavy rates. So I just don't see a ton of ice accretion with this whatsoever. So will there be ice? Yes, probably somewhere in the Midwest or the center of the country. I just don't see it being crippling at all. Again, appreciate everybody joining. Hit that like button down below. We're not even to 200 yet, and we got 175 people in here, so I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for the support. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'll be doing another video forecast update tomorrow morning. Be looking out for that at 7 o'clock a.m. tomorrow morning, so I'll be doing that for you folks. Could Southeast Michigan could see ice? Yeah, I think Southeastern Michigan could see some ice, but I think it's going to be very light, okay? So the placement of this right now with this model number 1 shows Southeastern Michigan, like Detroit area, seeing some ice, and a little bit further south on model number 2, so the placement's a little off here, but I think there's a possibility that we do see some icing occurring across southern lower Michigan and southeastern lower Michigan. And most of this will actually be Monday into Tuesday timeframe. A lot of this Wednesday will be more up here into southeastern Canada and like interior New England, from like northern Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, and like upstate New York. So all right. Does anybody have any other questions, though, regarding the weather pattern ahead or anything weather-related? I could gladly answer as many questions as possible. Brooklyn says, if the El Nino pattern stays for the spring, does that mean a more active severe season? It depends on where you are. So for an El Nino pattern persisting longer into the spring, it would actually make for a lower severe weather threat across the Midwest, a below average season for severe weather across the Midwest and the northern U.S. And because if you think about it, an El Nino pattern is going to bring more precipitation across the south and the southeast. So that's mainly going to actually enhance that severe weather season. I think the Great Plains could be in line for, especially the southern plains this spring, could be in line for more severe weather if that El Nino pattern does persist longer than expected, which is possible, and that would actually create more severe weather for the central and southern plains and the southeastern areas, especially down here into Dixie Alley. So we could still see severe weather up in the Midwest, but with an El Nino pattern persisting like into April and May, if it persists longer than expected, then I really just don't think that the Midwest or the upper Midwest or any of the northern areas will see really a lot of severe weather events. Sure, we could see a few, but I just don't see any real like big tornado outbreaks up there if the El Nino pattern does persist. But right now we forecast that to turn neutral sometime between April and that May time frame especially. So we'll keep an eye on that. The Climate Prediction Center will have an update, I believe, in early portion of February. I think like the second week in February, they'll have another El Nino advisory and they'll have a discussion about it. We'll go over it on my video once that time gets closer. And I'll also be putting my spring weather forecast out in the middle of February too, around that 10th, 15th time frame. So that'll be factored in. What will the weather pattern do for the southern states? Are you talking about this week? You got to be more specific, Phil. Thank you guys so much for joining. Yeah, right now I think a lot of heavy rain across the deep south. I think that, like here, let me go to the rainfall accumulation for. I know people are coming in and out of the live stream, so if I didn't show this earlier, you can see the heavier rain across the deep south is going to be the big story next week. If you're talking about longer term into like February. I would say probably more precipitation than dry weather across the deep south, especially if with this El Nino pattern persisting. So hopefully I helped you with that answering that question. Brian, thanks for joining. Will we get an atmospheric river event on the West Coast in the next 3 weeks? I think that starts tomorrow. I wouldn't say an atmospheric river would start this weekend, but there's certainly going to be heavy rain. You can see the western U.S. here into western Washington, western Oregon, and like especially northern and northwestern California, seeing multiple inches of rain between now and next Friday night. So this certainly could lead to some flooding across some of these areas like Seattle, Vancouver up here, even into British Columbia, Canada, down into Portland, Eugene, and Medford, down into Sacramento, Fresno. Some of those areas, could be seeing some flash flooding. So we'll keep an eye on it. But atmospheric river wise, I really don't see a huge atmospheric river, at least anytime soon. Could that change into February? It's possible. I just can't see that far out. What do you think February looks like for South Carolina? Probably, I don't know, probably I would say mild weather for the Deep South as we go through February. Does mild weather always mean rain? No. We could be seeing some colder weather at times, but overall, probably a milder February across the Deep South. South Carolina, you're kind of close. It could be either mild or cooler. You're kind of right on that line. So I would say just a normal February, to be honest. Max, thank you for joining. Could neutral phase mean more severe weather like last year? Yes, a neutral phase of climate pattern would actually favor more severe weather in a more wider region across the U.S., and that would include the upper Midwest. So, vice versa. If we have an El Nino pattern moving into the spring, less severe weather to the north, more severe weather across the south. If we have a neutral pattern going into the spring, probably April, May, June timeframe, we're probably going to see more wider areas seeing severe weather, and it's going to be from the Midwest all the way to the south and the east. So it'll be pretty much a normal severe weather season if we have a neutral phase. Thank you so much. Make it an amazing day for your $5 donation. Thank you so much. Everybody give Make It an Amazing Day a thumbs up in the live stream chat. Thank you so much for your generous $5 donation. You didn't have to do that. I do appreciate it. Thank you. Hope you're having a great Friday out there. Is the ice, could the ice be heavy in southeast Michigan? It could be heavier. The precipitation rate could be heavier. And that's what I was talking about earlier, is across southern Michigan, some of the precipitation rates could be heavier, so you could have heavier freezing rain, but the accretion level is going to be lower because of the runoff from all that moisture. For a real big and crippling ice storm, you technically have to have either freezing drizzle or light freezing rain, so a lighter precipitation rate to accrete a lot more ice on the trees, the power lines, those bridges and overpasses, stuff like that. Could there still be that? Yes, there could still be those icing, ice accretions starting to develop on those trees, power lines, driveways, stuff like that. But is it going to be crippling? Probably not. Will the polar vortex and snow return to Chicago? Right now, like we were mentioning, you probably just joined. We were just talking about this a few minutes ago. February is going to be driven by either this El Nino pattern or the polar vortex, if it returns or not. Right now, there's a big question mark on whether or not it returns. We'll keep an eye on it as we go through the next couple of weeks. But even so, if we had like a sudden stratospheric warming event in the next couple of days, it would take 2 to 4 weeks for that to even reach the United States with that true Arctic air again. So once we get past this weekend with that Arctic air, it is all mild Pacific air and Gulf of Mexico air as we go through much of probably the first week of February. So that's currently what I'm seeing. It could cause power outages, yeah, if it's heavy enough. Like if this model could be wrong or could be right, downstate Illinois in towards southern Missouri, northwest Arkansas, and southeastern portions of Oklahoma seems to be the hot spot for the heaviest accumulation. At least over the last few model runs that I've seen, this has been pretty persistent in a lot of the model guidance across the mid-Mississippi Valley for the heaviest ice accumulations. We don't know exactly how much is going to occur. We'll know more as we go into the weekend because this is Monday, Tuesday, and a Wednesday event into next week. So once we get into say tomorrow and Sunday, we'll give you more of those estimates, especially in my weather forecast videos and how much ice and snow and rain and all that stuff to expect. So I'll have a video out tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning, and especially Sunday morning too. I'll have more of information on that. I've already answered that, Rain Mavs. I've said that if we have an El Nino pattern if the El Nino persists longer into the spring, then we'll have less severe weather in the Midwest and more across the South and the Southeast. That's from the central southern plains to the Dixie Alley region and the Southeast U.S. If we have a neutral phase, then that will likely favor more severe weather further north into the Midwest. Could there still be severe weather during an El Nino pattern in the spring? Yes. Will there be as frequent? Probably not. We just don't see it right now. I think I'm leaning more towards a higher potential for severe weather in the Great Plains again this season in the spring, at least early spring, and across the Dixie Alley. And really, that's just climatologically the area you look for anyway in early spring for severe weather. It starts across the south, and eventually, as we go deeper into the spring and into the early summer months, that migrates further north in general, climatologically. So, Bob, thanks for joining. Will we see more snow in northern Wisconsin? That's a great question. I do think as we go into early next week, there could be some snow into portions of Wisconsin here. So starting on Sunday night, notice all the precipitation down here to the south. So Wisconsin is pretty dry. As we go into Monday, during the day Monday, there could be some snow, a little bit of lake effect snow even toward Lake Superior, but that'll be in the UP in Michigan. Most of Monday will be dry here in northern Wisconsin. Monday night, we'll start to see more of that widespread precipitation take over. This is mainly across southern and central Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin for the most part, at least through that midnight time frame into Tuesday morning. Probably dry. I think after midnight on Monday into Tuesday morning, that's when we start to see that change over to snow. And there could be a couple inches of snow up here somewhere across the upper Midwest. Will it be in northern Wisconsin? Maybe. It could be a little further south than there. This is just a general guess right now. We'll have more information as we do get closer. But yeah, I think there could be some snow into that Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon time frame up there in north central Wisconsin. April says, I've just looked at the official NOAA Climate Prediction Center ENSO probabilities chart, and it doesn't look good for the upcoming 2024 spring severe weather and tornado season and the hurricane season. Well, we're seeing a La Nina going into next hurricane season. So Illinois, and I'm tired of this cold weather already. Even though it's been an easy winter so far, I'm ready for a switch. I'm ready for it to turn warmer. Ready for a switch to warmer weather to 60s, 70s, and 80s finally, and to sit outside in the sunshine. Definitely, I like that time of year. April, May, and June, best time up here in northern Illinois to enjoy some warmer weather. Rose, when will we get some snow in South Carolina? Well, if this pattern persists the way we see it into early February, it's going to be hard pressed to see a lot of snow there into South Carolina with that mild air. That Pacific air is very warm, and that Gulf of Mexico is still above normal with our sea surface temperatures. So as long as that's the case, we're probably going to see more rain versus snow there in South Carolina. But don't lose hope yet. February, even March, you can start to see some of those colder events come down. And if we have another surge from the polar vortex later in February or early March, that could lead to more snow chances for the Carolinas. So stay tuned on that. We'll keep an eye on it. All right, everybody. Well, if you guys don't have any more questions for me, I will wrap up the live stream. I do appreciate everybody joining again. We may do more of these live streams in the future. Will it be every day? Maybe not, but I'll keep you updated on the weather as best as possible with accurate weather forecast updates. As the information that I get on here, I'll pass it along to you, and I'll make it make sense for you so you guys are, keep updated on the weather through the week. We will continue to monitor the cold air. If you are headed outdoors this weekend, make sure to bundle up. It's going to be cold all across the eastern and central U.S. here. Very cold morning starts, especially on Saturday and Sunday mornings. Wind chill values could be 20 to 30 degrees below zero, especially up there into the upper Midwest where that deeper snowpack is. So just make sure to bundle up as you go outdoors, whether it's just to go outdoors to run errands on Saturday or just to go outdoors to walk the dog quick. Just really make sure that you're also taking care of your pets out there. Their paws are cold too, so if you're taking a walk with your dog or anything like that this weekend, that you make sure that they are safe as well from the cold, and is very important. And then next week, we're going to keep an eye on the storm next week with the icing potential, some snow, and especially that heavy flooding rain across the deep south. We will keep you updated on that. Again, thank you guys so much for joining, and I hope everybody has a great rest of their Friday and a wonderful weekend out there. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning in my video at 7 a.m. All right, everybody? See everybody soon. Thank you. Have a good rest of your Friday, everyone.